Thank God I no longer live in Westmoreland County. The parkway is still flooding, and the question here today is who is to blame for the flooding in the parkway east, the bathtub area. I want to hear who you are making accusations against. You can message us on the Facebook Live page at riversedgepgh.com/live, or you can hit me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH. Who's to blame? That's what I want to know here today on River Talk. This is the River's Edge Radio Network. I am Brian Crawford. I am Pittsburgh's moral compass. I am Pittsburgh's sleuth, trying to get to the bottom of this tragedy, this travesty. It's horrible. As someone who grew up in Westmoreland County and had to take the parkway and really never came to the city because it was such a pain in the ass to try to get through the tunnels and down the horrible traffic, or winding your way through Wilkinsburg if that was the way you wanted to go to avoid the tunnels, there was really no good way to get into the city. And now they're rerouting you away from the parkway, and I want to know who's to blame. Is it the bike lobby? Is it the infamous Mon Monster? Is it the PWSA? Who do you blame for the flooding of the bathtub parkway ramp area? I want to know who you will blame at River Talk PGH or on the Facebook page. I think you can make a case for any of those people that I mentioned. Obviously, the bike lobby has an interest in destroying bike traffic in the city. Clearly, the Mon Monster is just always wreaking havoc. So I want to know who's to blame. Please message me now. We'll get into that as the show goes on. We've got some big topics for you today. Deer sex is driving up accidents in Pennsylvania. And we will get into how and why. And I have science that will prove my case. That's right. Deer are getting it on, and it's causing havoc on the streets. I wonder if that's the problem in Mount Lebanon. Maybe that's why they're having all of the incidents there, and they keep hiring gangs of sharpshooters and archers to take down deer. Maybe it's because they're all just getting it on in Mount Lebanon. Maybe there's something in the air. Maybe there's something in the pollen in all of the shrubbery that all of the yuppies in Mount Lebanon are so upset about the deer eating. Maybe that's getting them horny. And I'm not just talking about the bucks. What are your thoughts on that? We've got that. Do we need the PLCB, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board? There's an editorial that came out in the Tribune Review that says we do not. So I want to hear your thoughts there as well. We're just going to rapid fire a bunch of topics out at you today. And also, what are your thoughts on wristbands? The wristbands that you get when you go to an event that says that you paid. Are you in favor? What are your thoughts on those wristbands? This is the River's Edge Radio Network. I am Brian Crawford, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. We also have Michael Sorg with us today. He'll be chiming in throughout the show, and he also has a new segment that he's bringing to us once a month. It is the Awesome Thing of the Month. You can hear Michael Sorg live every Tuesday at awesomecast.net, or you can hear him rebroadcasted right here on the River's Edge every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And now you'll be able to hear him once a month right here on River Talk. So lots of Sorg all over the River's Edge, which is great. So you can never get too much Michael Sorg. Sorg, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
You're doing good. So who would you put the blame on the bathtub situation if you had to blame someone?
If I had to blame someone, I did spend some time. I did a project. I was at PWSA, not about my crazy bill that came in a little bit ago. And there's a lot of security there, so I'm starting to think that they're in cahoots with the Mon Monster.
So who is this again?
The PWSA.
PWSA.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. They would do anything to get a day without bad press.
Yeah, they could use that, yeah.
Yeah, so I could see where they would try to derail the papers, try to spin the media. This is not fake news. We actually have proof. If you're watching the video, you can look behind me, but there was somebody who actually took a kayak and kayaked his way through the bathtub because it is flooded with water. And I want to know who's to blame. Who is to blame? Liz is blaming Obama for the flooding of the bathtub. She also says that she loves wristbands, so I'm going to tell a story right now about why I don't like wristbands. I went to the Sound Scene Express award show yesterday, and it was a great time. Lots of great bands. There was I actually partied a little too hard yesterday, but it was the first time I've had out in quite some time. Congrats to all of the winners. It was a really, really great show. Hugh Twyman did a great job of Hugh's shows. He did a great job of hosting the event. But as I get in there, I go to the main spot, and they check my ID, and they make sure that I am legal, that I'm 21, and I can go into the place and I can drink. And I did drink a lot. It was fun. In fact, I drank too much. I was laying in the bed till like 4 p.m. today, just not feeling like coming out of the bedroom. And I even thought about texting Michael and saying, not Michael Sorg, but Michael Cohen, and saying, hey man, it's on you. Good thing I didn't, because he's not here today. So here I am. But when I get there, they check my ID, and then I go to pay, and I pay the cover, and they put this wristband on, and they put it on so tight I could feel the circulation coming out of my hand, like pins and needles.
It's like a vice.
It was a vice. It was awful. And then it had that sticky residue that was just ripping the hair out of my arm.
Because they had to do it, right? Like, they wouldn't let you do it for yourself. Like, they take your hand.
They did it, but they were
right?
they were brutal. Yeah, they took the hand, they put it on, and they put it on so tight that I could literally feel my life force coming out through this wristband.
No matter how much you try, they always get a little bit of that arm hair in there, too.
That's what it is, yeah. That's one thing I do love about Katie here at the Funhouse. When she does it, she's like very meticulous and takes great strides to make sure that she does not get any of that arm hair, which is really, really important. It's horrible. I think that they should go to stamps. I think that they should go to no, stickers wouldn't work, but a stamp would work. You could get your hand stamped. Maybe they could stamp your forehead, almost brand you. That way you can't accidentally wash it off when you go to take a pee because you're drinking all of the beer. Any of those would be better options.
And you all have it, so none of you are weird for having a stamp on your forehead.
Exactly. Everyone is normal. In fact, it's cool.
And you've branded all the selfies from the event.
That's true. So everybody knows where you're at. You get that imaging right there. Actually, I think that's a good idea. I should get a River's Edge stamp and stamp everyone's forehead as they come to any of our shows or any of our events as well. Don't blame the wristband guy. Well, who in the hell's fault is it, Liz? The guy put the wristband on. It was on so tight. I felt like it was suffocating me. It was so tight and clingy. I hate the wristbands. I think that maybe they should step up the game and spend more money on wristbands, and then you could have those kind that latch instead of the kind that stick. That sticky residue can't be good for the environment. It's got to be rubbing off on a tree or something somewhere. It's got to be getting deer horny across Pennsylvania. I could easily see deer going out into the trash cans and sniffing the glue off of the residue of these wristbands.
Well, I'm glad we solved one mystery already in this show.
That's what I'm saying. I am Pittsburgh's sleuth, Brian Crawford. So I do want to hear your thoughts on the wristband. We've heard Liz's thoughts. If anyone else has any thoughts on wristbands, Zach, you go to a lot of shows. Are you a fan of the wristband?
For an unreasonably long amount of time, I like having that wristband on, yeah.
You like having the wristband. Don't you ever worry about it grabbing your arm hair and ripping it from your flesh?
No, I'm a man.
I'm a man too, and that's why I've got a lot of arm hair. So it's a very uncomfortable experience. Who's at fault for the bathtub closure? That is the question for the day. I know there was somebody who said, and we're waiting on a call possibly in the second half of the show from somebody who's actually was stranded in the bathtub.
Oh no.
And claims to have seen what went down. So we're waiting on that information. So that's a big deal. So the PLCB, I do want to get into that, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. There is an editorial that says that it may be time that the agency disappears. I'm a big advocate of that. I at least would like to see more flexibility in the state store system. I would like to see more access. I would like to see the Walmart of liquor.
I just want to be on par with other states.
I want to be better than the other states. I want to be like how Vegas is for casinos. I want Pennsylvania to be there for alcohol. I'm talking 24-hour super store-sized liquor like behemoth stores.
I went the liquor store that I walked in New Hampshire, and I had like a giant liquor bottle in the shape of a gun.
That's amazing.
That's weird and awesome at the same time.
That is fantastic. So I would love to see that, but I would like to go a step further. I would like to see a Walmart Supercenter size liquor store that you could go to 24 hours a day with delivery service. So it would be like the Uber Eats. What would you call it?
Uber Drinks?
Uber Drinks. No, I think something that could work, but I'm thinking something along the lines of I don't know, the Thirsty Runners or something. They could, we want them to be responsible, so they could run the alcohol right to your house. I think that it's more responsible to have 24-hour liquor facilities than, especially with the bars. I have long believed that the bars should be open as long as the establishment wants. Everyone says, oh, you'll have drunks everywhere, mass chaos, bars open all the time. I don't agree.
No, instead, let's concentrate them at 2 in the morning on a Saturday and Friday night.
And, let's release everybody at the same time to get into their vehicles and drive home drunk. Yeah, it's a horrible idea.
It's like opening everybody up into a bumper car bin. It's crazy.
It's horrible. So I think if you allowed places to just close whenever, be 24 hours a day, you're not going to have that many places that are going to be running 24 hours. You'll have a few places, like Jack's in the South Side will probably be open 24 hours a day. You'll probably get a few bars on the South Side that will stay open till 3 or 4 in the morning, but then they'll probably close. You're not going to get bars open all over Pittsburgh 24 hours a day because financially it would not be worth it.
No.
But it would be worth it for a few.
I mean, New York City, they're open until 4 and 5 as it is, so...
I was on international waters once on a cruise, and on this cruise, the rule was that the bars would stay open until the last person stopped gambling. And that's the way it was. So I would sit there at the bar till like 4 or 5 in the morning with this. So basically, I went with my family, and I was very appreciative. My aunt was having a 50th wedding anniversary, and she wanted to take her kids and their family on this cruise, and she viewed my mom as like one of her daughters. So she brought her daughter, and she brought my mom and both of those families. So we got to go for free on this cruise. So all I had to do was pay for the alcohol package. So I get there, and everybody else, nobody wants to do anything in the evening. They're all going to bed early, this and that, and they were boring. So I found another family that was fun. And
you found a surrogate family?
I found a surrogate family.
Listen, I'm adopting your family. You're more fun than my family.
Exactly. And my mom got out one night, and she had a great time, but my dad had a migraine the whole time, and she stayed with him. She should have just abandoned him and came out with me. But I met them at this piano bar, and it was really an awesome bar. It was kind of similar to this counter. So everybody sat similar to where you're sitting, Sorg, across the desk, and the piano was in the middle. And she would talk to the people who were sitting around her, and she could play basically any song, and she would play songs on request. And these people were so much fun. So I started hanging out with them, and we kept running into each other every night. And I would hang out with them at the bar until 4 in the morning every night drinking. And the great thing about the drink package was you never ran out. And I was always afraid of running out. I would wake up and start drinking, and I would not stop drinking until like 4 in the morning every single day, and I never ran over on my daily allowance. And the amount of money that I spent for this drink package was really a steal. It could have been way more money. So I was happy.
Yeah, make the most of it.
It was great. So I am advocating for 24-hour liquor. We'll get involved in more of these topics, including deer having sex and why it's causing massive traffic issues. We also have the weird news, not 1, not 2, but 3 weird stories that we will tell to keep the Mon Monster at bay. But it is time for a news segment, and maybe what we should do is, I didn't think about this until literally we are in the middle of the show, but we should get some of your awesome cast of music to lead into this segment.
We should. I'll get it over to you. We'll load it up. I mean, this is a 1.0 of this segment.
This is the first time we're doing this segment. We're bringing Sorg in. He's going to be in once a month, and it is going to be the awesome thing of the week. Here, how about this? I will sing awesome cast music to get into the segment.
I love it. You're getting awesome. You're getting awesome. Wow.
So there we go.
I love our rendition.
We're into the awesome segment of the month with Michael Sorg of Sorgatron Media, Awesome Cast, and all of the things.
And everybody understands why I'm not into music anymore. Now,
everyone knows why I talk.
Yeah, so I brought a few things. I want to make sure we touch on some local awesomeness and some other kind of wider things. But I think the all around awesome thing of the month is freaking SpaceX.
Yes.
Like, it is the moon landing, if you believe that was real. There's one guy on the show that often questions that. I imagine you're thinking about that. And of course, they had their rocket go up a few weeks ago, and SpaceX was really good about streaming this thing. Multiple cameras. They followed the 2 of the 3 rockets, came off, detached, and landed.
Wow!
And exactly like the animation showed it was going to, right? Like it just looked unreal. And now these rockets are reusable, and that's a big thing because that helps. The cost of setting more stuff up, right? And it's capturing the imagination of people, like the moon landings and the shuttles, and the shuttles I grew up on watching, right? And then Elon Musk steps up the coolness factor on an already pretty awesome geeky thing, talking about space. And he decides, and then we got the announcement maybe a couple months ago, he wants to send a Tesla into space.
I heard, yeah.
The Tesla car into space. So, because they needed a payload. The whole point is this rocket is to prove that we'll be able to send people and supplies to Mars. Right, and then we'll be able to do it with the reusable rockets, and that this is a financially viable thing that they can do for future space business. Of course, every time I think about that, I think about the company that is involved in the Alien movies. Because they're always out, sending people far distances to mine for something or other.
Oh, yeah.
And then they find aliens and everybody gets killed. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry, it's been 30 years. And I don't think any of the movies are different. So we have this stream, and they have multiple cameras. And by the way, this is cool. They were actually, of course, the I believe it was the Houston or Cape Canaveral. I think it was a Texas location that they launched from, and it's of course NASA's launch pad, and they were using NASA's communication network to stream it to YouTube Live.
Wow. That's incredible.
After they get up
was
there,
the quality grainy or was it?
No, it was great.
It was great.
It was great.
Wow.
This next. So the part with the Tesla, they keep going camera to camera, and as it's going, you see the Earth in the background just passing by. So I think they played a lot of Rocket Man. I heard during the live stream and everything.
David Bowie.
Rockets and David Bowie. Yeah. Yes, and to the point where the next day I took that kind of that live stream of just the spaceman, in the Tesla, and just played it on my Chromecast in the studio, because I'm just this is a great 4 hours of this thing is an awesome screensaver. I just want to save the video as a screensaver. It's the cool space version of the Apple screensavers, like the Apple TV ones that have that kind of slow motion pan kind of stuff, and that was really great. But no, that, as I say, it just captures everybody's imagination. Space travel is more of a reality than I think it has been in the last 20 years, because I feel like we've really kind of pulled back on a lot of this stuff.
Do you think any of this has to do with Obama butchering NASA? Because the argument was that he was going to push private organizations to get involved in the space
and
business.
That's where SpaceX is. Well, I think NASA was being and then from my memory, I think NASA was being defunded and de-emphasized way back administration before that, all through the 2000s.
But Obama was the one that canceled the space, the actual shuttle.
Well, was that and I don't know the reasoning, but was that an opportunity, seeing the opportunity of things like SpaceX?
That's what I'm wondering. Well, that was his argument, that private companies would get involved. I was opposed to it at the time, but who knows? Maybe he was right.
Yeah, we have a little something. We have progress here. Things like the what is the Google Flight X prize? I believe I might be misstating that. Which I think they just announced nobody won.
Oh, really?
Nobody pulled it off. It was
wow.
I don't know, maybe $1 million, couple $1 million prize for the people that can develop a rocket that goes up into space, or whatever those were, and just nobody pulled it off. SpaceX is doing their things, of course, but they're doing their things. So I think that's really cool to see where that's going in the future of that. And now there was one big miss on this. I think if I remember correctly, I think they missed the mark by just ever so slightly, and the rocket is probably not going to go as near Mars as they expected.
Okay.
But still, and also not as far, I think is clear now, as because we thought for a moment that it was going to go to the asteroid belt and basically just get beat up. And it's going to kind of go out and kind of curve around and maybe a little bit towards our direction a little bit, because it's going to pick up those orbits, and of course this directed us to, if you're familiar with the original Star Trek, the motion picture,
yes,
and remember Viger, the space probe NASA sent out, which was a legitimate, like something that actually happened, and it came back and it had an artificial intelligence from some alien culture that we never found yet, right? And started causing havoc there. So Viger is out there.
Happen. Yeah.
You might be riding a Tesla back to say hi.
How far do you think it will be until we have colonies like Gundam style? Are you familiar with Gundam, the animated Japanese anime?
Not Gundam style, the Korean dance craze from a couple years ago.
I didn't know that was a thing. So there's a Gundam
differently.
Open Gangnam style.
There we go. So, no, but the Japanese anime where they have these colonies and they change the environment and people can fly to these colonies. Do you think that's in the future? Do you think we will have people living on Mars? And do you think that those people will be living in an environment that looks like Earth?
Yeah, at least by the end of the century.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it'll be that quick?
I think seeing the progress that we have so far, I mean, they've been touching on this, not to invoke Pauly Shore, but I remember the biodome experiments of the 90s, right? So this is something that people are going to be thinking about. And this is something where I think when it starts going, it's going to go fast. We have seen this with computers over the last 30 years, right? It starts going, and now we have this like Moore's law applied, and everything is just exponentially getting better and more complicated and smaller with our phones and our iPads and whatnot, right? I think that's similar thing is probably going to happen with space travel and what's going on there.
Wow, that will be crazy. I know it's becoming very much like Star Trek in certain ways. We were talking before we started the show how I plan on turning the studio into like a Big Brother scenario where I can have secret webcams to spy on people while they're in the studio. And I could do that from the Alexa. But what's really, really cool is it was one thing that I want to do eventually in this studio is put an Alexa show in here and an Alexa show back at my house. And then I could video conference into the studio and try to troubleshoot things in live video. So that's something that's really, if you think about it, it's kind of like Star Trek. I was Alexa calling Sorg the other day. We wanted to test it out. So I was here in studio and I said, Alexa, call Michael Sorg. And it called the Sorgatron Media Studios out in Beachview, right here from the River's Edge studio. So we were able to communicate through Alexa. And it's kind of cool because it's very much like Star Trek in a way, but at the same time it's kind of stupid because we're basically going back to a house phone.
It kind of is, because I think I've heard like that it's kind of connected weirdly to your phone, and like because people are trying to use the Amazon Echoes to connect with their parents that are not really technically savvy, but can say hey so and so call somebody or do this, and they don't have to interface with a phone or computer or touchscreen that maybe they're incapable or unable to learn, right? So I think that's going to change a lot of things and make computerization and communication more accessible for a lot of the older population or disabled or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know I'm enjoying the Alexa. There's so many interesting things that I want to do with it, and it's really coming a long way. So who knows? Maybe we will be traveling the stars. That would be really interesting. I was listening to an astronaut on the BBC talking about that, and it's crazy how many times they circle the Earth in one day.
So this is interesting. I actually through if this then that IFTTT, I have a thing on here that will give me a notification every time the International Space Station passes overhead.
Wow.
It's like once every 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. They're like, yeah, it'll be over your head for like 300 milliseconds. I will see if I got the most recent one here because I know it's happened since I've sat here. Yeah, ISS is passing overhead February 18th, 6:23 p.m. for 240 seconds.
Wow.
Like that's crazy.
It's insane.
But,
cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it makes me think of Gravity when like she's trying to sync everything up and and hit like whatever space station or something she needed to kind of try to save herself.
Yeah, that's wild. Stick around. coming later on the program, we will talk about deer getting it on and how it can affect your traffic patterns. But right now, if that's not weird enough for you, right now we're going to roll into the weird news right in here on the River's Edge. The city is under attack. The bathtub is flooded. There's chaos in the streets of Pittsburgh. Last week on the Millville Music Minute, we were building an ark outside because we here in Millville, we know how to deal with floods. We're going to try to ward off the Mon Monster. We're going to try to save the bathtub. No more kayaking in the bathtub with not one, not two, but 3 weird stories to keep the Mon Monster at bay, where I, Brian Crawford, savior of the city of Pittsburgh, will single-handedly save all of you from total destruction at the hands of the Mon Monster. You're welcome. We've also got Sorg here in studio, Michael Sorg. He just did his awesome thing of the month. You can stay tuned every month, the 3rd Sunday of every month, for a new awesome thing of the month, and you can hear the awesome thing of the week every week at awesomecast.net. Our first weird story has to do with a woman who has a really interesting predicament, and this comes from the New York Post. It says an Oregon woman has become the first person worldwide known to have an eye that is infested by tiny worm species previously seen only in cattle, that is spread by flies that feed on the eyeball. So her eyeball is infested with worms. She's got worms living in her eye. Ooh. It says the U.S. Center for Disease and Control and Prevention scientists said that 14 translucent parasitic worms of the species Thalasia gulosa are all less than half an inch long, were extracted from the 26-year-old woman's eye over a 20-day period before her symptoms dissipated. I can't even imagine. That's one thing that I've always been afraid of, is losing my eyesight, because I have incredible eyesight. I could see, like, I literally probably should have been a sniper or something, because I could see, I've mentioned on the show before, but I could literally look across the valley and see the detail in the siding of houses.
You ate a lot of carrots growing up, didn't you?
I must have. Well, you know what? I didn't eat candy. I didn't like candy. I didn't like sweets. I still really don't. I mostly ate real food. Yeah, vegetables, fruit. Like, if I like anything that's sweet, I want a piece of fruit. I don't want a piece of candy. And I still don't like candy. The only thing that I really will eat is chocolate, preferably dark chocolate, too, which is the chocolate that's supposed to be better for you. Anyways. But, yeah, can you imagine? I wonder if she got this at Kennywood.
Why Kennywood?
Because that recently somebody claims to have gotten some sort of infestation from the raging rapids.
Oh, is this why we took away the waterfalls for that thing?
Yeah.
So, well, they waterfalls from that?
Yeah.
Well, they say
it's less raging now.
Well,
that's not raging.
The PWS, yeah, it's definitely not raging at all. Well, Kennywood, listen to my episode a few weeks back. You'll hear my thoughts on Kennywood and the destruction of memories.
That was just last week, I think.
Was it last week? See, all of the weeks.
You're making me reconsider my season pass now.
Well, they've gotten rid of the log jammer. They still have not brought back the old mill despite the promises. They still have not brought back the turnpike despite the promises. They have destroyed the old train ride. Now it's a kid's nightmare.
You're a Kennywood
purist.
Yeah, okay, yeah, purist. Now I'm late Kennywood. I am. I was introduced to Kennywood like maybe in the final years of the Steel Phantom, when it was the
real Steel Phantom
before the loops,
before they made it a bitch coaster. Yeah
exactly.
Back when it took some balls to ride the Fehl.
I'm not as attached. I'm more a Conneaut Lake Park kind of guy. Growing up,
I've never been to Conneaut.
Don't
Lake.
go now.
Okay.
It's not a happy place.
It's better now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, they're actually. What was it? We have My mom owns some property up there, and they've been renovating it and put a lot of money and effort into revitalizing the park.
Okay, I remember because there was a debate over the gum wall in Dr. Moriarty's funhouse, I believe.
Yep.
You got to leave the gum wall there.
And
it's history.
The hotel there's getting fancy, and it's there. I think it was
sprucing the place up.
The year before was like the first year they made a profit in a long time.
Probably about 30 years.
Well, I don't want to get too far into the Kennywood thing, how they've trampled over people's dreams and memories and spit in the face of tradition, but it is something that's going on. It is real. And I went into... I don't want to relive a previous show. I literally went into 20 minutes straight about how Kennywood has been attacking.
So let's talk about how Kennywood spitting in somebody's face gave this lady worms. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, well, no, this woman, she got her worms in Oregon.
Yeah.
But can you imagine just getting worms in your body in general? I can't even imagine.
I always worry about just like an ailment that I didn't know was a thing happening to me that just completely, like, there was somebody who was talking about how they stubbed their foot and now, like, it was a life-changing, horrible thing because now they had, like, it led to all these other problems.
Really? Wow.
Right? Just because they stubbed their toe at a wedding somewhere. And now, like, their life is forever changed. Had to leave their job, and she had a very good job with one of the amusement parks in North.
What happened to her toe?
I don't know, but it just turned into these other kind of blood infections and everything.
Wow.
And just, like, completely...
It's amazing I haven't gotten some sort of a disease.
Your body is an ecosystem, man. And when you throw something off and give a shock to the system, like, that can have this really,
I guess my body's just so used to the abuse.
Yeah, and there's a little bit...
That might be the case.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly. Like, in pro wrestling, you callous your body to take in all those bumps on the ring, right? So then, like, you get a bodily trauma like that is just every day for you versus, some of us that, an office worker that gets in a car accident, they're done.
Well, yeah. Well, I've stubbed my toe once so hard that the entire toe split open, and I just threw a bandage around it and went to work.
There you go.
So,
just rub some dirt in it, walk it off. You'll be okay.
Exactly. I think I broke my toe. I mean, I hit it so hard I could barely walk for weeks. It was crazy.
But it's just a toe, so.
But I didn't get any worms in it.
Good, no worms. They kept the worms away.
That's the most important
thing. That's crazy. So this is something that it affects. Would you say horses? Was it?
I believe they said cattle.
Cattle.
Can you imagine being a horse too? Like those flies that go into your eye?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I go to a farm and I just look at a cow or a horse that has 30 flies sitting along their eyelids, and I just want to go swat them away for these poor creatures. I mean, that's horrible. I can't even imagine.
But that is just like it's something that just must populate on a farm, and just the one fly went a little bit off the path and got at her, and chance thing, swat a fly away. You ended up, you picked up worm larva. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. That's unfortunate.
German police rescue men tangled up with mannequin and toy car. Police in West Germany have freed two men who became entangled with a mannequin and a large remote-controlled car. Officers were called after cries were heard from an apartment in the city of Mainz in the early hours of Saturday. Police found a 58-year-old tenant and a 61-year-old visitor hopelessly locked together with the toy car and the mannequin, which was dressed in a knight's costume. Officers were able to free the men who were too drunk to explain how their unfortunate predicament had come about. According to the police statement, the whole thing would have remained a funny episode, but the younger man was more than impolite and now faces charges of insulting officers. So you can get stuck into a car with a mannequin. This is an article from Upgroove. You can all of that stuff can happen to you, but really what nails you is being mean to the police.
I have so many questions on this because I think somebody needs to draw me a diagram of this situation. Two, when we talk toy car, are we talking about one of those like Power Wheels kind of things?
I imagine like a clown car. I don't know.
A clown car, or is it like the thing with the red and yellow Fisher Price thing with the roof in it?
That could be it.
I still want to climb in that some days.
Did you ever have one of those when you were a kid?
I did not.
I feel like I was.
They might have had one in kindergarten.
I feel like I was slighted almost. Like I've missed so much out on my childhood because I didn't have that car. And I even remember like I wanted to ride the riding lawnmower. No, nothing. I got nothing.
My dad let me drive the lawnmower one time, and I ran over one of his trees.
Oh, we don't need a
was
riding
okay.
lawnmower.
Oh, we had a lot of property.
Well, my grandmother's house needed a riding lawnmower.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I wish I
place
had
really
it.
Did not.
I wish I had it for my 24th of an acre in Pittsburgh or whatever I have. Just be that guy, and then I could drive it up to my office, and the 4 blocks away.
I might get one of those bikes that are powered, like one of the powered bikes.
Ooh.
Where you can pedal, but then it gives you an extra boost.
I saw somebody on a scooter, like the kid's scooter, but
it was powered.
No. I don't think it was powered. It just looked like a kid's scooter, and this girl that was looked like she was just going to class over at CMU was just rocking it.
Really?
And she owned that.
Wow.
She owned that.
That's great.
CMU probably designed it herself.
That is true.
This is true. Yeah.
That is true.
So third story, it's a new musical instrument that is taking the world by storm.
Oh,
really?
I was so happy when I saw this in your rundown.
Yes. So, as you know, we are the voice for local music in Pittsburgh, and being that we are a station that focuses on music, I thought it would be important to mention this new instrument that is now out there. I don't think it's available for sale, just not yet at least. It is a Furby organ. It is a Furby organ. It is literally an organ that was built entirely out of Furbies. Here we got some music. Let's play that music. This is what it sounds like.
Absolutely terrifying.
Can we crank that up? There it is. They're all singing. I want to know what would possess somebody to build a Furby organ.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you guys have watched the entire video of this guy, because he's and again, I haven't watched. He's a YouTuber. This is a series of things he does where he might hack things or something. But he looks like maybe if you didn't know any better, this project drove him to the brink of sanity.
To sanity?
In the brink of sanity.
Oh, okay.
The brink of sanity. Not to sanity.
I think he is
and he
insane.
Came back so he could play this song for us. But it's fantastic because he found all these. He's wired. He's soldered together. I know on the video over there they're showing the naked Furbies I was talking about when they're you just see the mechanicals and everything. And he booted it up for the first time, showed it in the video. About 5 of them didn't work. And,
wow. And
basically figured out how to send a signal that was just a tone that they would make, in all the voice stuff. It's also great because when he boots it up, they just boot up like you just turned on Furby, each individual Furby, right? It's
so he has to turn on each Furby.
No. He's got a switch that just kicks the power to him because he's hardwired these Furbies now.
Wow.
Into this thing. So he just flips the switch. They go on, and they all, of course, have their different greetings.
That's
at
amazing.
the same time.
That's awesome.
It's amazing and creepy and kind of awesome, but still creepy.
I feel like this should be donated to the Trundle Manor Museum. I feel like it would fit in perfectly at Trundle Manor.
Sounds like it from what I've heard.
Yeah. Trundle Manor is fantastic. They have everything there. They would get the eyeball of the woman with the worms in the eye. That's something they would have on display at Trundle Manor. It's pretty great. I think this is very fascinating, this Furby organ. I would love to see it in person. And as we were listening to that music, and as I was thinking of Furbies, because Furbies are really pretty creepy if you think about it, how would you like to see an Alexa-powered Furby? So Amazon, the Amazon Alexa in Furby form, where she just sits there on the shelf, but it's with the Furby voice, and it's the Furby fur.
I feel like that's coming. Somebody's doing that, especially since we were talking about before the show about how Amazon's been really good about the Alexa going into other things and being compatible and having some of those capabilities in other devices, like licensing that to Furby makers or having a Furby-like thing. But there's also something where there was a robot that we talked about. It was a Kickstarter. It's finally been out, and it's funny because the robot finally came out. But it's really just, it looks like you took an Amazon Echo, put a face screen on it, and it seems to only do Echo type things, and it's not really as impressive as it was going to be, but it's got the emotion and everything to it. So it's kind of, I feel like a little bit the kind of what you're talking about with the furry part, like the Furby part, right?
Yeah.
It's like if we just
we keep wanting to talk about furries because we're here in Pittsburgh.
I know.
I've done the same thing. Yeah.
Furbies. You know, that's something actually. That could be another door. But like just take this Aibo robot. I think it's the right name, like AIBO if I recall, and just put a Chewbacca suit on. You know, just wrap it in fur, and then you kind of have a Furby from this thing.
That would be crazy. Can we play that music one more time? Is it still available?
Yeah.
Let's play that music one more time. The Furby organ music. I just want to get us in the right frame of mind. Okay, here it is. I can just imagine when I die, I'll have my casket bar and a Furby organ. We'll be hanging out, one last drink to this creepy, eerie music. Can't you see? Can you imagine this at a funeral home, this music?
This is what you hear when you're descending to hell.
Exactly.
It's not heavy metal. That is this.
Yes. This is what you hear when you're descending to hell. And
This is haunted mansion music.
I'm waiting for the metal
great.
band that incorporates this. Like, that's the next step, right? I mean,
it logically, yeah.
so I can just imagine
it's gonna happen.
my body laid out with a coffin bar, everyone else having one last drink while the Furby organ is playing right at Han's funeral home, the only family-owned funeral home here in Millville. That's fantastic. That's beautiful.
that's the bed for all these ads now for the
Furby music. I like
funeral
it.
home.
So that's great. So that is the third weird story. I'm hoping that we have managed to save the city. Maybe the waters will subside in the bathtub.
We'll check them on the way home.
Have you ever bathed in the bathtub?
I have jumped off the Mon Wharf on New Year's Day several years in a row.
Oh, really?
Yes.
For like the
like
cold
the polar
thing?
bear thing. Yeah.
I can't. I'll only do that if it's a seasonably warm winter.
No, you know what? I'm not even worried about the temperature. I'm more worried about, and this is why I stopped, because I didn't jump far enough, because you get a little like reserved, right? And it's not an easy, drop off out there.
Okay.
It juts out when you don't know where it is under the water, and I caught something, had a giant gash.
Oh, my God.
And about a day or two later, I was teaching some classes over at PTI and came home and had to go to the hospital because I was deathly sick
Full of
from it. Yes, I got some worms, apparently. And it was funny that it ended that way because I was like the third or fourth year I had done it. And from the time I started doing it, like I swear I did not get sick for those years. And it was invigorating.
Yeah, that's wild. So, as I said before, many people in Pennsylvania get hit by deer or they hit deer along the road. In fact, Pennsylvania is one of the highest. It is, let's see here, Pennsylvania was rated high up. According to State Farm, motorists in Pennsylvania had a 6.3% greater chance of hitting deer in 2017 than in the year before, so it's getting worse. And we are ranked in the very top for most deer getting hit out of any other state. So it's really wild. It says the main reason why this is the best part. Okay, so it's worse here in Pennsylvania during the autumn because all of the deer are horny and they start roaming around looking for sex.
Wait a minute, because I always heard it's because that it's hunting and they're all spooked and everything, so they're running all over the place and being crazy.
Well, really, the
Great
hunting
combination, huh?
Yeah,
Horny deer running from gunfire.
Maybe they're horny because they know they might not have much left.
Well, that might be it because really, if you think about it, deer hunting season is kind of at the end of autumn.
That's true.
When it's starting to get cold,
Yeah.
and you actually want to go out. As somebody who used to hunt, you want to go out when it's snowing. You actually want the snow as a hunter because that will muffle your foot traffic. So if there's no snow, you've got all of the dead leaves from the fall, and the deer who have very good hearing can hear you coming up on them.
They also leave tracks a lot easier in the snow.
Yeah, it's much easier to see it in the snow. There's a lot of reasons.
You clip one, it's easier to follow the blood trail.
True. But yeah, so hunting is you want the snow when you're hunting, but no, they're out in the autumn.
Well before.
And they're getting it on, and they're causing all sorts of accidents, and it's actually causing issues in Pennsylvania because it's not always clear who is responsible with removing the deer.
Listen, we all know how it gets on the south side. And, when there's a bunch of drunk, horny people out there, and it gets pretty crazy. So this is really like the deer's take on this. I've noticed something interesting, too. So I'm from the country, middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And I remember, you see a deer, it's probably going to be in your way and you need to avoid it, right? If you're driving along. Since I've been driving in the city, this is last probably about 2 years. Anytime I've seen a deer in the last 2 years, of course, knock on wood as I'm going to have to drive home, they've been the most chill deer I've ever seen. So are the deer in the city just getting some a little more often than the ones out in the
Sex
cut?
in the City, man.
It's deer sex in the city, isn't it?
It is.
Because these guys, I see them and they're like 5 feet from my car and they're just looking at me. They don't care I'm there. They're just like, sup, person in a car. And it's been weirdly unsettling that they're not coming at me.
They may be becoming acclimated to human activity.
Well, they do that. So there's an island that I once visited where there's no hunting allowed. Hunting is outlawed. And because of that, it's been overrun with deer because people have killed off all of the deer natural predators.
And they can't go anywhere.
And they can't go anywhere. They're on the island. They're just there. And they will just walk right up to you and eat food out of your hand. They have no fear of people whatsoever. They've overrun this island. It was an interesting island. They had a beautiful lighthouse there. But it's a really weird situation. And really, hunting is so important to the deer population, especially here in Pennsylvania, because with them having no natural predators, they all end up starving to death if they aren't hunted. So people act like hunting's so horrible. And I do think that hunting is bad whenever you have those people the rich people who spend money to go to an area that's caged in so they can easily kill as many deer as they want. That's pretty shameful in my opinion. But true hunters who go out and then you repurpose the meat, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's actually better for the environment because they don't have any predators anymore.
Yeah, and I'm always interested because I think you mentioned in passing about the people being able to bow and arrow deer in Mount Lebanon. I feel like that's a reality show in the making.
Oh,
right?
my dude.
I want to follow one of these.
I've been talking about this for a while.
Of course.
And it's amazing just what has transpired and how they got to the point. So now they have the team of sharpshooters and archers that roam Mount Lebanon striking down deer.
It's like a roving gang.
It's amazing. I think that's just so cool that they...
Mean streets of Mount Lebanon.
Yes.
Deer hunters.
I think it's amazing, too, that being able to say a team of sharpshooters and archers is pretty badass.
No, they're just driving them to my neighborhood where there was legitimately last night when I pulled up at 3 a.m, just 3 of them chilling in my side lot staring at me. I had to do a lot to chase them away.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like...
They're not afraid.
I keep finding them in my parking space at home. I pull up...
Like in Millville or back in Carnegie? Okay.
I live right next to a just like a park, basketball park, baseball park, and the last 2 years, just in the winter, I'll come home late at night or something, and I'll just be rolling up to my parking spot. There'll just be 5 of them just hanging out there in the street in my parking spot. And they'll move. They run away, and they just go to the park.
It's just like the kids in my neighborhood. They don't got any place to play, so they're just going to play ball in the streets.
Yeah, there's times I've had to honk my horn at deer to get them out of the way because they just don't want to move anymore. I definitely see that. But with Mount Lebanon, what's so great is there was this huge debate because there were certain people who wanted to kill the deer, and then there were the animal rights people who wanted to save the deer. So there was this big fight about what they were going to do. So what they ended up deciding in Mount Lebanon originally was to literally construct death camps and construct them in Mount Lebanon and lure the deer into the death camps where they would shoot them and kill them.
What? That was the resolution?
That was what they decided to do. So they built these death camps, basically like it sounds. I hate to say this, but basically concentration camps for deer. They built these death camps to lure them in and then kill them. It was crazy. They built these camps. And the animal rights people would stand outside of the camps and spray smells and shake noisemakers and do whatever they could so that way the deer would not come into the camps. And then the anti-deer people, I'm sorry, not the anti-deer, the pro-deer people, the people who wanted to keep the deer alive, their solution was then to castrate the deer, at which I said, if you're going to castrate me, you might as well just kill me. And then that nothing worked. And instead, they could have just hired police in the beginning or allowed hunters to come in.
Yeah.
But they still never did that. Now
Yeah.
they hired the team of sharpshooters and archers, and that's what they finally came to a.
I've been attending a lot of community meetings in my neighborhood.
Yes.
I would have loved to be at the community meetings where this discussion was happening.
Oh my gosh, it would have been amazing.
I just like somebody in the back. We should castrate him. It's like, what the hell is happening here? Still not much weirder than the stuff that's been yelled at my public meetings.
And that was the people who were in favor of the deer. Those are the people who wanted to save the deer and keep the deer alive.
Man, no, let's keep them alive, but let's maim them, okay? So they find no joy in their lives. Listen, deer don't have much. Let them be horny deer.
But do you think there is something in Mount Lebanon that is attracting the deer, and maybe do you think that it's kind of just a sexy part of town?
It's definitely not the property values, is it?
No. I could see it, though. I could see maybe it has something to do with the shrubbery. Maybe it has something to do with the roadways or something. I don't know.
I think it's the trash from the sweet sub shop over on Washington Road.
There we go. That could be it. Maybe that's attracting the deer.
Yes, that could
Maybe
be
it's
it.
getting them horny. I could see Mount Lebanon being this sex cove of deer. Can you imagine just walking down the street, deer left and right
This
everywhere?
is another television show in the making, actually. I think we could pitch this to Netflix.
I think that would be fun. And when
but-
I was a kid, my grandmother's house always had a lot of deer. It was kind of cool. There was this one little patch of tall grass, and they would all sleep in the tall grass. And they would... She had her entire house was surrounded by jagger bushes, and there were tunnels through the jagger bushes from the deer. And it was crazy because you could actually travel through the tunnels as a kid. It was like a maze through the jagger bushes from the deer running back and forth. Maybe that could have been like a big underground deer sex cove. I didn't even know it.
Right under your nose,
Right
man.
under my nose.
Right under your nose. You know,
I say let those kids have their fun.
last time I was on your show, I think we talked about some sort of sex robots. So some country was using. Like, I feel like there's some tie-in here. Like maybe
that's the solution in Mount Lebanon. Get them sex deer robots.
Yeah, then they'll just chill out and they won't be jumping out in front of people. Like we should just lure them with a
Repurpose those camps, make them like
deer
sexy parties.
Yeah, deer
Swinger
sexy
clubs for whitetails.
Yes, I like it.
Oh no, it's just a club called Whitetail, and yeah.
And then we could chase them all away by requiring them to wear a wristband upon admission.
Oh, all that fur, all that
Awful.
fur, all that stickiness.
So I don't know. I don't think we've come to a conclusion on the bathtub. I think that's still a mystery.
We just need to fill them with the dead deer.
Fill them with the dead deer of Mount Lebanon. Whew.
Oof.
Dumping bodies. Sorg is dumping bodies down the river. So don't miss his show. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, it gets there sometimes. No, yeah. Usually we just talk about like what Pornhub's been doing lately.
There we go.
They're the innovators. They're the true innovators. You should ask Pornhub what to do about the deer.
Deer Hub.
Deer Hub. Whew.
There we go.
I'm afraid to see if that's a real.com right now. I'm like, I don't know. Do you guys, you got a safe search on in this internet here?
I don't know.
I gotta see if that's a thing now. Deerlove.com. There you go. Anyways, no. Yeah, I'm trying to move on.
There is a deer hub.
Oh God.
There
It's
is.
Deer Industry News.
Ask them.
That's a cover. That's a cover. I call deer shit. All right.
They got a Twitter account at Deer Hub.
Wow.
I'm trying to see. It doesn't seem as sexy as we thought it was going to be.
Not the sexy party we
they're
were
a group
hoping.
of hunters in Wallace Township, Pennsylvania. I wonder where that's at.
I don't know.
I love the deer crossing at the bottom of your webpage. At least it's not a GIF.
No, thank God. Sorg, what do you have coming up?
What do I have coming up? Of course, we have the AwesomeCast is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are actually going to have a discussion. We had a discussion this past week with a fellow from Duolingo who I met in my Lift.
Oh, there
And
you
we
go.
booked an interview when I was, giving him a lift somewhere, and we talked. He was from England. Dropped out of school at 13. Amazing story. Dropped out of school at 13. Discovered graphic design and ended up consulting with Google at the age of 18.
Wow.
And the guys here in Pittsburgh at Duolingo actually found him, discovered him, brought him over.
Wow, fantastic.
It's crazy.
So that's going to be this Tuesday.
That is actually up on the feed for Awesome Chat. Tuesday we talk about all the tech news and everything, and we have a lot of fun with it.
Very cool. As I've said, we're going to get you more information as things go on, but Brookline's Got Talent. Be sure to check that out. I was selected as an elite judge. I'm going down to the South Hills. I'm going to your area, Sorg, and I'm going to judge all of you.
I was just on Idiot Radio, and they were dropping your name, and I'm just like, well, that's a small world.
Yeah, it's going to be Saturday, March 3rd, so it's coming up at 7 p.m. I'm going to be one of 3 elite judges alongside Jim Kren, so it's going to be a good time there. Brookline's Got Talent.
Kren's a good guy. I've met Kren before. He was on a panel with us about podcasting. Real good guy.
They needed someone from the North Hills to judge everyone in the South, so we've got that. And then also Monday night, right down at Cousins Bar. Check out the Millville Music Festival's page at Millville Music on Facebook or millvillemusic.org. as well. You can find more information. We are going to be having a charity event, a fundraising event for the music festival. We're going to have Tim Vitullo and Chillent performing. That's going to be at Cousins Lounge, home of an amazing ceiling, beautiful ceiling at Cousins Lounge. So if you don't, go for the music, but look at the ceiling. It's beautiful.
We're not ignoring the music. We're just admiring things.
The ceiling.
We're not pondering.
Have you been to Cousins Lounge?
I can't remember. Was it on the
Sasson show? Was the pod crawl? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I did not look up.
All right.
I was trying to make sure the technology was working.
Next time you go to Cousins Lounge, look up at the ceiling. It is an amazing sight.
Drag me down there when I don't have responsibilities, and we'll see about that ceiling.
There we go.
See, I've heard about shoegaze before, but never ceiling gaze music.
Oh, you got to look. Have you been to Cousins? Go down to Cousins and look at the ceiling. I'm telling you.
Let's all field trip down to Cousins right now.
I'm game, so got a little bit of time before I head in and hit that clock. So.
Oh, boy.
All right. This has been River Talk. This is the River's Edge Radio Network. Thanks so much to Michael Sorg. You can catch him on Tuesday night, 7 p.m., Saturday morning right here at riversedgepgh.com, and every third Sunday, 7 p.m. here for River Talk. Thanks to Zach Fehl behind the board, and thank you all for tuning in and commenting. Thanks to Liz and Nick, who was a big fan of the Furby music. So I am too. I wonder where he's at. Maybe I can make an exception on our local only rule, because just to get the long, like maybe like a whole montage of Furby singing music. That's it. Don't interrupt the deer if they're having sex. Let those kids have their fun. You have your fun too. We'll catch you next week right here on the River's Edge.